Hello and welcome everybody to the first part of a challenge run of all archers through Final Fantasy Tactics. FFT was a game that I played a lot of when I was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I would play lots of different variations of the game, but I never really got to know the mechanics of the game in a really intimate way like I have with other games since, and there's no better way to kind of force yourself to learn the ins and outs of a game like this than to do a challenge run. We are beginning in the Sweegy Woods battle because this is really where the All Archers variant begins. If you are curious to see the introductory material and the Mandalia Plains fight where I was just leveling up my squires, I will have links to the unlisted videos of those in the description. They will not have commentary. This is where the variant run begins, right here. We still have the guests Algus and Delita in our battle for Sweegy Woods. This will not be a super notable battle. Most of it is just positioning our archers with their less than super powerful bow guns, and here we go. The bow guns have a range of 3 to 4 squares. 3 to 4. They cannot target anything closer than 3 or beyond 4, although you can hit things if an arrow travels through that area. So if you are on a level ground with a character, level-ish ground, you can aim through the line of sight past that. You can hit them. So we'll see that a little bit as we go on here. So you can see the range there has kind of a big circle-ish shape around Ramza. The damage on bow guns, by the way, let's pull that up. The weapon power is 3, and to find out your damage, you take the weapon power of a crossbow times the attack power that's listed on the status screen for your character. So you'll see, unless enemies have specific defense, most of Ramza's attack when he's in a neutral compatibility with a monster will be a multiple of 3. And there you see, 15. So we took the attack power of 5 times the 3 from the bow gun, and that's where we got 15 on that Black Goblin. If you have Zodiac compatibility, that is good. With the monster, you will get a 25% boost to that damage afterwards. If you have bad, you'll get subtracted 25%, and then if you can get best or worst, which you cannot get with monsters, you can only get good, bad, or neutral with monsters, but best or worst is also when you are crossing sexes with a human character. So a female attacking a male can get best and can get worse with sexes when you have that. So that gets a penalty of 50% or a bonus of 50%. Anyway, Delita and Algus are just our guests here. They're going to be going after these guys. You can see not as much damage there, 12 from that guy. So the damage will be a little bit variable based on some Zodiac things, although it's pretty straightforward, the damage ability. Some things in this game are insanely complicated looking through the algorithms guide, but luckily for archers, the damage is pretty straightforward. We'll talk more about the longbow damage when we actually pick those up. For now, we're just dealing with bow guns. Bow guns do need a straight line of sight, so you cannot arc bow gun bolts over your enemies. Longbows, of course, you can. And also notably, I will say, bow guns do not get a distance modifier for your height. Longbows do, bow guns do not. They will always be 3 to 4 no matter what. Sometimes that's advantageous. Most of the time, it is not. Most of the time, a longbow is going to be strictly better than a bow gun. Although bow guns do allow you to equip a shield, which we will use a little bit when we have battles where we need somebody to be holding a shield out in front. We will have a bow gun in their other hand. Archers also get a few interesting abilities. Speed Save is a good reaction ability where they can increase their speed by 1. That'll become more important when they're using bows because the damage for a bow is actually partially based on their speed. So you can increase your damage and, of course, your ability to go faster, which is why, again, bows are usually better because archers will have a better speed stat than an attack power stat in general. You can boost them other ways. They also get jump +1, which lets them get higher. It makes sense for archers to have that. And you remember, think, I will never use an ability like jump +1 in a playthrough this game. Well, that's why I like to do challenge runs, because it forces you to use some of that stuff, just like FF5. you kind of figure out how some of those other abilities can work and what they can do. And you do see some cool things. I will say we will see some interesting things in this run, maybe not necessarily in this battle, but for completion's sake, I am going to start with this one on commentary. I will give myself in this run a couple of job leeway things, specifically to make the archers better. Most notably, I will be learning the secret hunt ability from the thief to poach enemies to get some of the top bows, and also the move find item ability from the chemist to find the top bows in the deep dungeon. Because I think if you're going to be doing an archer's run, you need to really see and showcase all of the things the archers can do. And so in that case, not in story battles, but in random battles, I will be poaching some monsters for Ultimus bows, and I will be using move find item in the deep dungeon to pick up some of the good bows, some of the good stuff. So that will be the only, hopefully, deviations I take. Another rule I'm giving myself is that when at all possible, I'm just going to be using bows as my damage. That means that enemies that have arrow guard, not weapon guard, arrow guard, which defends them from bows, will be hard for me to hit. They will be very difficult for me to hit, but I will not cheat myself by taking my bows off for battles with enemies with arrow guard. So you will see that happen. The only time I'll allow myself unequipped attacks is if my weapon gets broken or stolen. I will allow myself to finish the battle as the archer. Because I think I probably could still have an all archers run, but have them just using fists when guys have arrow guard. But I don't want to be doing any of that. So I won't be able to use things like gain JP up from the Squire. I won't be able to use things like equip change from the Squire, dash from the Squire. So all of this is going to be archer-only things. I may pick up steel weapon for thieves because Ultimus bows can start showing up in thieves' hands or in archers' hands in random battles later. So if I just have steel weapon on some of my characters as a secondary ability, just in case a good bow pops up into the hands of an enemy archer. Ultimus bow specifically, I don't know if I will see a Yoichi bow or Perseus bow in a random archer in a normal battle here, unless we get very, very, very high level. So the goblins here aren't able to take too much, and the bomb here, I'm going to shoot through the bombs, as you can see, but I did not make it there because the height was too much. You have to really have a direct line of sight. I attempted there. There's no way to know for sure if it's going to hit when you go through it. But she can get there because she is far enough away. You have to be 3 squares away. So you notice she only had, she must have an attack value of 4. So she got it multiplied by 3. But unless they have defense up, that's always just going to be right there when you have neutral compatibility. So your damage, as wild as it looks when you're playing casually, can be fairly predictable in this game. Also, the behavior of guests is going to be interesting in a lot of these story battles. Guests can be pretty random, although, of course, they follow specific rules, so they can be manipulated if you're very careful. And if your setup is the same, they will generally do the same thing as you re-roll battles. I will not be using items in this run either, so most of the things in treasure boxes, especially from monsters, is just going to be items that I can't use. Money will become kind of a non-issue for me later. There I targeted a square you saw and a diagonal behind the bomb and went through it. You can also use crossbows to be on the corner of an enemy like that to avoid a counter, although you can take a counterattack if you are standing within range of their counterattack. And see, there the line of sight wasn't good, so I'm still kind of figuring my way around how line of sight works for these crossbows. And there goes the bomb, and there goes the battle. So next time we will be taking on the Dorter Trade City battle. I will let the ending animation here play for Sweegy Woods. Thank you for joining me, and hold on tight because it's going to be a fun series of games.